Welcome back to another episode of the Partnernomics Show. Today I had the opportunity to chat with Dmitrius Garcia. And Demetrius is with xAmplify, a really cool software package. It's out there to help manage channel partnerships. And I've really enjoyed the relationship that I've been able to build with the folks over at xAmplify over the last couple years. But Demetrius has some really cool technology that they're working on. Also, a new AI agent that's going to help make partnering professionals and partnership managers, channel managers, make our job easier. And so looking forward to giving him an opportunity to chat more about that. So listen in. Here we go.
Welcome to the Partnernomics Show, where industry thought leaders discuss the hottest topics in partnerships, ecosystems, and innovation.
Welcome back to another episode of the Partnernomics Show. Great to be with you. Today we are joined by Dmitrius Garcia. Demetrius, how are things going today?
Man, lovely. We're approaching the summer. Weather's heating up. Yeah, I don't know about you, man, but I need sunlight in order to keep this mood elevated, right? I'm always trying to be vibing high. So, that coupled with being able to take walks and, stay fit and stay healthy and hydrated, I love this time of the year. It's a great time to get out, meet new people, get some sunlight and just, really enjoy life.
Yeah, I get cabin fever so bad. So even the early spring, certainly the winter times, I got to get out and get the blood flowing. It's a lot easier to deal
Yeah.
when it's 70 or 80 out. So,
Mm-hmm.
well, Demetrius is the president of xAmplify, and I've really enjoyed the opportunity to get to know Demetrius a lot more over the last year or two that we've been collaborating. They're up to some really cool stuff that I'm looking forward to covering in this conversation. But Demetrius, you could probably do a heck of a lot better job than I can. So if you would, let our viewers know a little bit more about yourself and xAmplify.
Yeah. So thanks, Mark, for the great introduction. So yes, here at Exemplify, we're trying to solve the same problems that you guys are Partnernomics are trying to solve. We're really trying to help these medium to small businesses, even the enterprise level companies, really understand, what's going to be required to, run not only an efficient partner program, but an accurate and scalable partner program. So we built an ecosystem platform designed for partnerships, and what we're really focusing on within our platform is how best can we make not only the partners experience, because when you look at a lot of these tools, Mark, that are designed for the channel, they're vendor focused, because the vendors usually they have the marketing budget, they have the sales budget, right? They have the big robust teams, they have the product, and you have sometimes in the middle you have these practitioners. Now you have very effective aggregators who are really great market architects, and they can do a whole lot with just a little. But you do also have, a vast majority of these partners who are, smaller in number. They may not have a built-out sales and marketing team. They may not have the same resources as a vendor or supplier of product, right? However, they're tasked with the same thing, and that's delivering some services, their offerings to an end user. So what we try to do is we try to take that into consideration within our platform and do our best to address the fact that, hey, these guys, they also need adequate tools. They're going to help them be just as efficient, if not more efficient, with delivering their offerings within the marketplace too, primarily within the channel.
So, Demetrius, you have a little bit of a different path to get to your seat as being the president now of xAmplify. You have a law degree, do you not?
Yeah, yeah,
How did
yeah.
that happen, man?
Man, well, uh, I've always I saw myself ever since I was a young boy. Like I would like run for student body president, being of service, right? So I really wanted to be a service oriented human being during this lifetime. So naturally, I figured where can you provide the greatest service? Well, helping people, achieve justice and things of that nature. So yeah, I went to law school. I worked in corporate defense, and working in corporate defense, I quickly uncovered I was on the wrong side of the B, right? I was not bringing people justice. I was, not for me. I wasn't working for the everyday person, right? I was serving corporate interests, but it was a tremendous experience. I really, really enjoyed it for the most part. However, in that same vein, I had an opportunity to join a couple startup companies out here in the Valley, launch a few startups, launch some of my own, and I dabbled back in law. I went back to the corporate space from time to time. Built out an M&A practice, so I was doing like mergers and acquisitions for 10 years and doing private equity transactions. However, in that same vein, I somehow was attracting this energy from the software space to, help companies launch, take them to market, build brands. And then that's how I met Sadir. They had this little product, maybe in 2019. It was just a through channel marketing automation product, just a marketing automation product for design for the channel. And for me, I got it, but I didn't get how complex the ecosystem was, right? Like I just did not. I was like, there are so many moving parts. So me and Sadir worked for a year on the product and launching it. My office was maybe what, a mile away from his office. So we stayed in touch. I still advised him from afar, but I was working on some other transactions globally for the M&A practice. But when I actually saw in 2023, 2024, the amount of growth and development that xAmplify had been able to achieve, I said, wow, this is a totally different animal, right? And just his tenaciousness with growth, with wanting to, ramp up the integrations and be committed to serving the partner level practitioners as well as the vendors, but also the partner level practitioners in the channel. I said, okay, I can advise you from afar, but I would also be of service, right? And for me, it was a bit more personal, right? Because I know City on a personal level. So I said, let's run this back. Let's run it back again. And I'm gonna come back to xAmplify, and we're gonna do our best, right, to show the value of this platform, but also to the spirit behind it, right? Why we do what we do, right? We're service first. We're a service first company, right? Yes, we have a platform. Yes, we have tons of products, but we want to be of service to our community, and and that's what led me here. That's what led us here, and that's what we're here.
I'll say, like, your background in law, that was one of the first things as a partnering professional when I was in corporate America, was to try to wrap my arms around the legal side of relationships and contracts and contractual terms and those things. So, man, there's no doubt that background has served you well and will continue to serve you well.
Yeah,
As you
absolutely. Because even in the world of law, when you have a client, or we call them clients, but they're customers, so paying you for a service, right? Um, the first thing you got to do is ask a lot of questions. Someone says I got hit by a car, you can't just write a complaint. You got to know the facts, and you got to tailor your complaint to their facts, and you got to dispose of the facts under the law. It's the facts that drive the story and the narrative and how you represent the client. And every client, every customer has their own story. So here at xAmplify, that's the one thing that we changed was, initially it was like, oh, book a demo. And it's like, no, discovery call. Let's get the facts. Let's find out about who they are, what they're doing, and let's find out how we can be of service, right? And our platform is designed to help service their pain points. And like I said, and that's like the legal ahead of me, right? Address their problem, and get them to where they need to go.
Well, it seems like there's just so many parallels as I'm thinking through them and partnering, as well as in the legal space, because it's all about the facts and understanding, uh of putting it's systems, putting these things together. You'd used the word ecosystem earlier,
Mhm.
and I know that you're really fascinated. You guys are doing some great space in the world of ecosystems. Of course, that word's been around for a long time, but it's really been popularized just over the last couple years as more software continues to come in, more and more connections,
Mhm.
connectivity. The world that you guys are in, that we're in, and channels, they're certainly not getting any simpler. As a matter of fact, they're
No.
becoming more complex, and that's what awesome tools like xAmplify help people to normalize. But what is it like, the world that you guys live in with ecosystems, and the way that you see these different players and
Mhm.
bringing them together on your platform? What's the way that your team kind of sees a way to bring some logic and some normalcy and some science to the ecosystem, the channel ecosystems?
That's I love that question because it goes back to what or goes back to, but it highlights what we're currently doing now, right? So the one, and I take everything from like for me, like, yes, I have this legal background, but I take little bits and nuggets for being, a lawyer, and it's like, okay, what are some of what's the superficial pain point, right? Superficial pain point is how can we be more effective in the channel. Yes, it is complex. Yes, there are a lot of tools out there, right? But at the end of the day, for me, and I use this quote a lot. If it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense, right? So we should be investing our energy and time to think in things that generate revenue, right? What helps you be most effective in landing a client or a customer? And that is being relatable, being able to develop that relationship, being trustworthy, being authentic, right? Now, if you're a partner, so this is what we do. We built out an AI agent that helps the partner level practitioners go to market with more speed and accuracy, but also be able to communicate across different segments with a high level of relevancy, right? So you can be, if you're a cybersecurity professional or a telecom professional and you're trying to sell your services to a law firm or a dental office, you may think, oh, they're a lawyer, they're a doctor, they should be able to get, or, an auto mechanic. Like, the auto, or maybe he may be impressed and think I'm like so smart and just, no, no, no. If they don't understand what you're talking about, right? They're not gonna. It's gonna be a tough sell. So how can we communicate with more clarity and be more efficient with developing that rapport and those relationships so the AI agent is able to take very sophisticated product marketing collateral, right? Break it down into layman terms that's easy digestible for audiences, which in this particular instance would be an end user, which may not have an IT department. Their core competency may be, you know, the complete opposite side of the spectrum when it comes to, the world that they operate in. If they're like a dentist or a lawyer, like these are really highly intelligent people, right? Like you yourself, you have a PhD, right? But if I gave you, like a legal brief and said, hey, find the errors, you're like, where do I even start with this? And it's not a matter of like intelligence. It's like we all have our wheelhouse, right? We all have our wheelhouse. So and we want to respect that. And we respect that for we respect it at the partner level, but that's what we're doing. We're trying to really simplify things as much as possible. And it starts with communication, right? Let's help you, cybersecurity, telecom company. Let's help you break your messaging down so it's easily digestible. They can read 3 sentences, know exactly what your value proposition is, understand why it applies to what they're currently doing internally, rather it's, they got to tighten up their HIPAA, right, for medical offices and even law office. Like they have huge security provisions that they have to adhere to because they also host very sensitive data, right? If you're a law office and your client's data gets released to the public, you're going to be sued for legal malpractice.
Yeah, exactly.
Or in case of like a doctor's office, you know,
HIPAA and
malpractice.
education with
And
FERPA.
those are
Yeah.
very expensive suits, right?
Mhm.
So it's equal, and they get the legal component of it, right? And the requirements. So it's equally important that our practitioners, people who are working the channel, going or an auto mechanic, right? They're also equally important. Like, irrespective of people sometimes forget, like, we have plumbers and mechanics and other service people who help our community, who help drive efficiency in society, that also need to be serviced and also be educated on why they need to implement certain protocols internally to protect their customers' interests, or vice versa, or what have you not vice versa, what have you not. So, I think we're just trying to really simplify things with technology and using AI to get people to do this more, talk face to face instead of being stuck trying to craft an email so that it's readable to your respective audience.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. That's gonna be powerful, very transformative. Demetrius, what is kind of, I guess, at least one of the things that you see out there as being a big misconception when it comes to partner management?
I think the really big misconception is it's that the tools solve the problem, right? The tool is, if you're leading with a tool or a platform, right? That is a framework. That's infrastructure, right? You still need like the gas. You still need the know-how. You still need your why. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Right? You need to understand the fundamentals of what's going to be or what's necessary in order to develop a strong partner program, right? And we get so tied up in just producing content, onboarding, that we forget, hey, there's a relationship on the other side of that email, right? You may want to get on a Zoom chat, check in, see how they're doing, right? See what their initiatives are, right? What they're struggling with, and find out how you can help, while you're going to market, right? Be as collaborative as possible with those go-to-market strategies, right? So, whereas we do live in a software, a tool-driven, economy, where we're looking at ecosystem, where we're trying to use these technologies to um, to address these pain points. At the end of the day, people buy people, right? People drive business, right? So you still need people engaging with people, asking good questions, developing solutions, right? And tailoring whatever your product is around that solution for that respective client based off their pain points.
Man, it's such a great point. And I think it seems that in fairly recent years, certainly within the last 10 years or so, I think with marketing automation and these different tools, we've gotten pretty lazy thinking
Mm-hmm.
we can just can up an email, launch it out, and I can sit behind my desk and I don't have to talk or look at anybody. And I
Yeah.
think with certainly more recently, with customer acquisition costs just going through the roof, people are tired of just getting blasted with emails and texts and even voice messages. I think we're going to have this resurgence. We're already seeing it. This resurgence coming back to eyeball to eyeball, either through Zoom or hopefully face to face, or at a minimum, picking up the phone and having a human conversation. People don't want to be fully digitized. And so that's a
Yeah.
great reminder.
Yeah, and that's why, and that goes back to why we developed the AI agent, is because it says, okay, listen, don't worry about drafting these crazy emails. You can run your co-branded campaign, but let AI do all that writing for you. We know you can do it, right? Let it do it. It's going to be grammatically correct. It's going to be accurate. It's going to be efficient. It can synthesize a product with your service offering in a matter of seconds versus you sitting down for 2 or 3 hours drafting this collateral from scratch. Save yourself 2 to 3 hours from drafting this collateral from this one particular segment, whether it be auto mechanic shops or dental offices or retail restaurants, whatever it is, whoever you're targeting, right? You want to be spending your time reaching out to these customers and or working with your partners. How can we go to market better? What events are they going to? Let's get face to face, right? And that's what we're looking to. We want to make people again in business, right? And
Yes.
people need to be in front of people, really developing relationships and rapport, and having the ability to demonstrate their authenticity, because that's, I think, is what differentiates very successful practitioners from those who kind of struggle, is authenticity, right? And you don't get that unless you're face to face.
100%. That's something that AI will never be able to take away from you.
Never, never. And people, they're like, AI will take job. No, AI is not taking. If AI is taking away a job, right? Like, it's because you really weren't doing very. If you're out there working with people, he can't. AI cannot take away human relationships.
Exactly.
Right? What they're supposed to do is they're supposed to do your calendaring. It's supposed to do your calendaring, help you write faster, communicate your thoughts faster with more clarity, and just help you be more efficient with your time management, so you can get back into the public space, actually working with people instead of in front of a computer terminal.
Absolutely. And hopefully that's what we want to be doing.
Yeah.
Every day I ask to have more time back. And I think that's what AI is already bringing me. And man, it's going to be awesome to see what happens, over the next 4 or 5 years. I think it's just only going to get better. I was chatting with somebody earlier and I was like, man, I feel like we're in the late 90s or early 2000s with
Mhm.
this. I got a flip phone in my hand. It's going to be so nice whenever I have that smartphone here in a couple of years, but it's amazing how fast AI is coming in on us.
No, you raised a good point. We're definitely at one of those generational precipices where it's like you had the dot-com era in the 2000s, right? And everyone was trying to start a company. The people who got into e-commerce killed it, right? In the early 2000s, they killed it, right? And then 2008, 2010 went to, a cloud ecosystem where now everything's being stored in the cloud, right? And that really changed business a lot. You saw a huge push on how do we manage all of these assets in the cloud, right? Which created so much industry around that. And people jumped on, and the channel thrived as a result of cloud, right? Thrived, right? Because now you can work anywhere.
Yeah.
right? Remote work is, you can work, be anywhere. You can be on the moon and still get things done, mind you, provided you have satellite access. But now we're in the age of AI. Within the last year, we've entered the age of AI, and this is also going to shift how we do business, right? And what I think what we're going to see is we're going to see far more productivity, but deeper relationships, right? Deeper understanding of community, deeper understanding of what does it mean to be, a service first practitioner, right? People have now the time to slow down and ask questions. Like I said, initially it was like, book a demo, book a demo, book a demo. No, let's slow down, ask questions, and find out how we can be of service, right? And that's the business that we all want to get back to, right? Where we're
Man,
actually working,
absolutely.
we're working with each other,
Absolutely.
we're collaborating for a solution, and we're really trying to drive success.
Yes, 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 yes. One last question for you. I don't want to take up all of your time. So,
Mhm.
what does so we talked a lot about Xamplify and the channel community and technology. What does a solid channel program look like? I mean, what's kind of the gold star? I know you guys work with tons of different
Mhm.
clients. Whenever you think of kind of that exemplary organization that's running really well and kind of hitting on all cylinders, what does that look like?
I would say that a very sound partner program is one where that partner program is extension, right, of the sales and marketing organization of the vendor, right? They treat their partner network as if they are part of their internal infrastructure, right? Which means the same amount of investment that goes into their sales and marketing team, right? Rather it be marketing training, sales training, best practices, things of that nature. They're also investing that in their partner program. One of the words that you hear thrown around a lot in this industry is partner enablement, right? These people are not on payroll, right? So you have to communicate your why, right? You want to just tell your marketer to go, hey, go produce this content without giving them a why. You want to tell your sales guy, hey, go target this region without giving them a why. People perform better when they have their why, right? And the why goes back to, like, one of the things that you talk about is the science and behind partnering. It's like you have to treat these people like they're an extension
Yeah.
of your own business org. That requires investment. That requires planning, right? Strategy with them, right? Developing those relationships. Now, if you have hundreds of partners, in order to do that at scale, that's when you bring in tools. But the game may change, but not the players. You still got to put in the effort and the work to develop those relationships, even if it is 100 partners, right? If those guys are active on your platform or in your ecosystem, and they're invest the time and energy, develop those relationships, treat them as an extension. And what I do see, the ones that are very successful, is where they treat them as an extension of their business organization. And the way that you see that demonstrated is it goes beyond just enablement. It's, they're investing in their training, they're investing their time and their concern, and they're helping them scope out their why they're going to market for them in the first place.
Yeah, man, such a great points and such great reminders. And really that's I think the power of like an Xamplify is it really allows you to be able to do that and to do it at a scaled manner. But I
Mhm.
think something that you alluded to kind of earlier is, you know, like a tool like Xamplify is not going to be 100% partnership program in a box. It's a
Mhm.
data management tool, among other things, but it just helps you scale. But there's certain things with process, with strategy, with
Yeah.
just certain things that you have to get that right first so
Mhm.
that you can, be ready to scale and ready to execute at a high level.
Yeah, absolutely. And even for us, like, we come across potential prospects and clients, and there are some instances where it's like, man, like, we can give you access to this tool, but you still got to unpack the box when it comes to building out your partner program. We're not going to put you on a full scale platform experience when you're still trying to understand what's required or what your strategy is around partner recruitment, right? What your strategy is around, you know, what segments you want to go after, right? And what partners best help facilitate that. Like, you're still working through the strategy phase and where you want to invest your time and energy. And in those particular instances, that partner program, it needs a lot of support and help right? Just so they can build out that engine and get it going so they can jump into a platform to which they can scale.
Yeah. Well, Demetrius, I appreciate you carving out some time to chat with us,
Yeah,
man. It's
absolutely,
always
man.
good to catch up with you.
Hey, Mark, it's
Congratulations.
always a privilege, man. Always a privilege. Thank you for your time.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for joining us for this week's episode of the Partnernomics Show. Don't forget to subscribe to get the newest episodes at thepartnernomicsshow.com.